Konami Studios.
The Mitchells versus the Machines, the latest animated feature that I think was originally, did have a different title. I believe it had a different title at the beginning. I don't remember what it was, but it was supposed to be theatrically released. Again, I believe that was the case, but Netflix bought the rights to release it, and we got a nice little blockbuster coming to our homes again this weekend. This was great. I think this was one of the best films I've seen this year, if not the greatest film I've seen this year. There wasn't a second of this movie that I thought was poorly executed, poorly designed. I think the pacing was fantastic. I think the story was fantastic. The voice acting was fantastic. And the animation was flawless. This was some beautiful, beautiful animation. I am a sucker when you can make some gorgeous animation that looks like there was a budget behind it and had some genuine, interesting styles to play with. And it did that immensely. I thought that was a great area it explored. And it did a great job of presenting the way that animation looks. It's the same studio that brought us Into the Spider-Verse, but it feels completely different than that. It has the same tropes in the style, but it does it in a different and bold way, and I think it was just gorgeous. I can't get over the way this movie looked. It was really cool. The basic premise of the story, we are following the journey of this girl named Katie. She wants to go to film school. Already, you got me hooked. When you try to present film school in a positive way, or like the idea of somebody wanting to make videos, wanting to shoot movies and stuff, and you present that in a positive light, you got me interested. That's why I do this. I want to talk about that stuff too. I want to be involved in that stuff too. So she wants to go there, just kind of get away from her family because they don't really understand her. And as she's trying to do that, something happens in the world. This tech billionaire makes a new technology, and suddenly it kind of goes rogue. Certain things happen where it goes rogue, and these robots take over the world. And we follow Katie's family, the Mitchells, as they try to navigate through a robot apocalypse and get her to film school. It is a really good story, and it holds itself together perfectly. You're like, okay, we got our first act, our second act, our third act. It all flows perfectly. You got tension building in each one of the acts. You got great character moments in each one of the acts. Every character felt fleshed out, felt like a real thing. They each had a little moment to themselves for each act that made them all come back and connect in the end. I thought that was fantastic. It's just like, I think what this did a great job doing was presenting the duality between the two leads. The two leads are pretty much Katie and her father, and basically Katie's just like the young, energetic kid, the person that grew up in the era of things like YouTube, of TikTok, where you're just like, make content, make it, enjoy it, and explore that concept. And I think this did a great job of presenting social media in a positive light. It's something that is very rare to do. It either comes across as cringy or annoying, or it doesn't fully get it. But the way they presented just Katie as a character playing with this idea of YouTube, I think in particular, that very classic early 2010 era of YouTube, whereas everything's just like a short, funny clip. You got great ideas and presentation and everything about that. It was great. It was just an homage to that era that I know a lot of people from a certain generation, my generation, if you are the same age as me, if you are like in your early 20s, you probably get this. You understand Katie's ideas and the way she's making her stories and her videos. You relate to that. You understand it. You grew up in that era of YouTube watching that kind of content. And she wants to explore that route with her. But then you have her father, your classic man who's wilderness, outdoorsy, handsy, likes to use tools and get the job done, who doesn't understand that world or how you can make money from it. We literally have a blockbuster film talking about how YouTube can be a viable job. How you can actually do that and get successful. How that can springboard you to doing actual feature film. Like we saw certain creators. I mean, there's certain creators who started off on this platform who went on to make features. And we're seeing that kind of a story being told through the lens of a robot apocalypse. But that's still pretty fun in itself. And it made me really happy to see that presented. It's very like early memes too, it's like those early concepts where it's the loud noises sometimes, it's the freeze frames of certain things, but it works. There's a great homage to that classic era of internet and social media and YouTube and memes, and it just made me really happy to see that presented in a positive light. I liked it too. Most of the jokes landed. I don't think there was a single joke that I didn't at least chuckle at. Like every time it went for the fences, it took that big swing, it hit. It didn't miss at all. And I think that is just amazing that you can actually have that work and like it actually connects in that way. That is such a fantastic thing to see. I'm very, very impressed with how that was handled and how that was presented. It's unbelievable that we actually had that work. I thought that was great. And the robots themselves, the way they played off everything was cool. There's some just great callbacks in here to certain things from past ideas that I don't think anybody would be expecting. There's one thing, I don't really want to spoil it, but if you were a child of a certain era, I'm going to say the 90s to early 2000s, you definitely had this certain thing in your life and you know what it is. And the fact that they use that in this movie to great effect is fantastic. And I'm just like, I was smiling the whole time. And I love when I can do that and just enjoy that experience. It is handled like modern ideas really well in a great comedy and a great idea about family and how like sometimes you don't have to be the perfect family, but you still care about each other. You still love each other. You still come for each other in the end and keep each other safe and happy and learning to express your feelings in different ways that maybe your father doesn't understand, maybe your brother doesn't understand, but you are still able to be yourself in this setting and it can still get you the effect you want in your family. You can still have a beautiful time. It is just really nice, and I'm really happy it exists because it's rare that I'm like, I think this is an important film. I think it's hard to see like a modern film where just like I would show this to like a film school, you know, like this like a class of people trying to study stuff. But I think to show like my era of like growing up online and being part of like that culture that had this stuff before technology, but then being right on the cusp of technology, my era of like the kids born in the late 90s to like the mid 2000s, and just having that era of our lives be presented in a film like this, I think you could show that to a classroom and be like, this perfectly shows how these things you love and have enjoyed for years can actually become a job. Whether that's being the animator, whether it's being just a film person in general, I think that is fantastic to see. And it's just a great story about beating up robots, spending time with your family, and just a great idea. Like the jokes, even the memes. There's memes in here. There's meme jokes in here. They work really well. Everything landed. The voice acting landed perfectly. I just think this is a perfect film. Is it the best film of the year? It's hard to say, but I think if you could look at everything I've seen this year, it's the one I enjoyed watching the most. I just had the best experience checking it out, and it looked fantastic. I highly, highly recommend giving this one a watch because it might surprise you in ways you're not expecting, especially if you are a younger person who just wants to see your generation presented. I think this is the best way to see that. I really do, and I think it's going to make you smile and make you happy and just tell a really concise story in a great structure. So, the Mitchells versus the Machines, I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.